Hi everyone, this is Megan from thejeweleddlizard.com, and I just wanted to come to you today and show you how I prepare my molds for molding. My husband and I plan on pouring a lot of molds over the weekend. He actually has to help me because the jar is so large and so tight, the lid, and I can't get it open, so I just wait for his muscle. But I have to prepare all the pieces for molding. So, I thought I'd show you how I do that, and then maybe over the weekend I'll record a video of us pouring the pieces and getting the bubbles out of the mold material and stuff. So, anyway, here are two pieces that I've already done. A sea turtle, and I have a little cleanup to do on him when he thoroughly is dry. And then these are erasers. And actually, we have a punch that punches out guitar picks, and I was hoping that it'll fit there and I could actually embed guitar picks and resin in that mold. So, anyway, the next one I'm going to get ready is actually another eraser, and I absolutely love this. We found this at it's either Staples or Office Depot over the weekend. And it actually is a size 7. And it fits. So it's very similar to those ice tray ring molds, but it's the full ring. I mean, it's like 3D or whatever. So, anyway, to start off with any mold, I take a container. I've got a large kind of bucket of containers I use, but I just wanted to show you how I prepare them. This is the container, and this is the lids. You want something with a really flat lid, and something that your container that isn't going to eat up too much of your silicone. Silicone's very, very expensive, and you don't want to use more than you have to. So what I do is I normally cut the bottom out. And I can get around this corner. Just be really, really careful. Use scissors if it's easier for you, which I probably should be doing, but I'm not. Now, why you want to do this is because when you're pouring your molds, you pour through the bottom down to the flat lid, and then when your mold's done, you take your lid off from the bottom, and it's very easy to release your silicone mold. So, I'll be using this for a different piece, but I just wanted to show you how I started off. I'm actually going to use this Fleischmann's container. And I'm debated on whether I've done this previously. Because this mold or this ring isn't going to lie flat on the bottom surface, I debated on whether I should do a 2-part mold or sacrifice some detail for a different type. So what I would have done maybe is taken this, what is this, like a little ball chain, and maybe hung it from a larger container, well, an even taller one than this one, and kind of suspended it in the silicone, and then did 2 pours, poured up to like here and then poured up to here. But I think what I realized is that there are some flat areas on the surface of the little faux diamond, and I think that's what I'm going to use to mount the ring, like kind of like that. So what I use, and everybody has their own way of doing things. I like getting a really tight bond with the lid so you don't have any like undercuts. So I use some matte medium, and this stuff dries really, really smooth and clear, and it's easy to remove so you don't waste your mold piece. So I just take a sponge brush and I'm just going to put, I could paint the whole surface of the lid and then lay it down, but I prefer not to get the like the residue look, you know, the paintbrush marks on the mold part. I like to leave it smooth, so I'm just going to paint it here on the one side, and what I'll do is I'll let this dry overnight, and then before we mold tomorrow I'll use my X-Acto and clean up any like matte medium that kind of smooshed out. And there we go. And then I'll just set this aside to dry, and I'll have to be really careful because so let me show you another one really quick. What have I got here? Okay. I'll show you this. This is chalk. So I'm going to pick out the nicest looking piece, and I think it's this one. I could coat this and get it really smooth and make it look all pretty, but it's definitely this one. So I'll have to find a little kid for chalk. So let me show you how to do this one. This is a little different. I probably actually will use this one for this. Okay, you first, because it's got a nice smooth bottom, and I want to keep all the detail in the top, I want to mount this just like that. And see, if I were to use this package, the piece is too tall, but I'll show you how I get around that. So let me go ahead and paint the bottom. Now, I'm going to put on a generous amount here because it's kind of got a little lump there. And let me see, I actually could... Actually, on this one, it's going to be easier to use the other side of the lid because we're not going to be using the actual Tupperware piece. And see, I have, on this one, I'm going to use a, this actually came from, my husband used to work in a photo lab, and the large reels of photo paper came on these things, but you can pick up PVC pipe or any sort of like plastic tubing, or, and also on this one I put a generous amount of matte medium, You could use Mod Podge for this, but to me this stuff it works a lot better. It's a little more expensive, but so then I just take this, and I'm going to have to pull this back to be able to see down the thing, but I just take it and mount it around the piece I'm molding. And this too, I'll just set aside and dry. And I'm at 10 minutes now, so maybe I'll do one more piece to maybe something a little different. I've got a whole bunch of stuff over here. Not sure if some of my pieces are... I'll do these. Okay, more erasers. I have some feet, a surfboard, and some flip-flops. So I want to remove the plastic pieces because I actually am going to make my own pieces and wire wrap them. And it'd be too hard to mold up and remove, so I just set them aside. So let me see if I have a container that will fit everything. Nope, that isn't going to work. And this is one I've used previously. Let me clean off the lid. Okay. I think this will work. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. You really don't want your pieces to get too far out. You need to have some space between them, or your mold will tear. I think I do the flip-flops and the... So, okay. These have a nice flat bottom, and you want the pieces to show their little toes. So I'll mount them on the bottom, and that's what you'll pour. It's like you're working like reverse. You want to keep your pieces really clean. If you mold up a piece that's got fingerprints and it's got coarse, parts on it, you're going to see that exactly in the mold. So before I pour tomorrow, I'll clean up everything so I don't have, a lot of cleanup to do on the piece. You don't want to mold up something that already needs to be sanded because you're just going to have a worse piece to sand. much easier just to see. On this one, I'm afraid that if I mold and have this piece be the inside, you're going to have part coarse showing and then nice and smooth, which could be nice, but if you mold that side down, so this piece is your front, it's going to be a uniform texture all the way through, and that's what I want. So I will mold this piece this side down. Same thing with these. So what's going to happen is your left foot's going to become your right foot, and your right foot's going to become your left foot, kind of thing. Before I pour the silicone, I'll probably clean up those holes so I have a place for my wire wrapping to go through. So that is how I prepare the molds. I will wait for these to dry, clean them up, and then pour the silicone, and I'll do another video showing you the actual silicone and getting rid of the bubbles, because I have a silicone that needs to be degassed. And yeah, so I hope somebody learned something, and I'll catch you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.